On today's video, the most anticipated update in Rise of Kingdoms is here as we finally get our carrot, the Choose a Commander Mightiest Governor is upon us. And in this video, we're going to talk about this event and much more. Was this the carrot? This was the stick. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. I was gonna buy a carrot before I made this video to eat a carrot while we were doing this and then hit the camera with the stick instead. But the store had a line out the wazoo for the checkout lot and there was no self-service, whatever the heck not, so I didn't buy carrots. Don't judge me. Anyway, on today's video, let's talk about the debacle that is this update, and pretty much the funniest thing that has happened in a while, because everything I've been preaching is slowly and steadily happening, and those of you who watch my channel should be aware of this by now. Before we start though, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe down below. Do me two favors, please. Number one, I don't even care if you guys watch the video per se. I'd really appreciate if you just listen, okay? And I might say some inflammatory things that'll annoy you and yada yada yada. And I know I'm not the most beloved content creator out there, but just please give me 10-15 minutes of your time to just hear me out, because I've been telling you guys this for a very long time, and those of you who don't know this already, it's time for you to know it. The second thing I want to ask of you is share this video out there with your alliance, in your discords, in wherever you communicate, so people are aware of this trend, because I know what's happening here. As a veteran mobile gamer who played plenty of these pay-to-win games and played and was involved even with some of these companies, not only as a creator, but as a developer in every sort of capacity. Let's talk about a little bit what's going on in Rise of Kingdoms, because Rise of Kingdoms is doing a drastic shift, and this shift is essentially a problem for some of us, but a blessings for others. So let's start from the beginning, and we're going to split up, essentially, talk about Rise of Kingdoms progression really quickly. When Rise of Kingdoms just started, there was one community, and there were two types of players. There were the present players, who were the players currently playing the game, and there was the future players, the guys who are going to hear about Rise of Kingdoms, join the game, and enjoy it tremendously. For quite a while now, Lilith have been facing a really, really tough problem. And that is that the new players, who are the future of Rise of Kingdoms, have been consistently interacting negatively with the present or even past players. That's right. We are considered nowadays sort of the past of Rise of Kingdoms, and the past and present of Rise of Kingdoms, rather than the present and future. Those of us who have been playing this game for 900 long days and have had all of these different, seen everything in this game, from the first ever KVK to the first ever everything almost, we are essentially the ones who suffered all the consequences, all the negativity, while consistently Rise of Kingdoms is developing for the future players rather than for the present and old players. As of this update, I can show you and prove to you how, again, for Lilith, the future players of Rise of Kingdoms are currently more important than the present and past players. Players like Baba, who has spent over $1 million in this game, and plenty of others that I can name, at least 10 to 15 that have spent well over $250,000 each on the game. From players like me who spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of dollars in the game every single month. We are no longer the future of Rise of Kingdoms. We have slowed down our spending. We have been more upset with Lilith than happy with Lilith. We've been expecting more changes and for the game to evolve. And the reality is, Lilith have found a sweet spot. They've found a proper cycle of content in their game. If you are someone who is new to Rise of Kingdoms, remember all the excitement of all the KVKs and all of these things that came with the first year and a half playing Rise of Kingdoms. Well, that still exists. There are thousands of players every single day who are coming in with that excitement. There are hundreds of players, just like the guys that I'm talking about, that are going to be spending quarters of millions of dollars each on this game in the next year. There are the future Babas as well. They are already in the game. And those people are having really bad problems with the old guard, because the old guard keep migrating backwards to younger kingdoms to look for different kinds of fun. And in the process, they're causing players that are potential future Babas, although there will never be a future Baba, but a player who spends like him, like MF, like Phantom, like many other big, like Bunny, like many other big players, DS, and I can name tons of them that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on this game. There's a bunch of them coming in, but a huge chunk of them end up meeting kingdoms full of old guard players that made them not want to play the game anymore, and therefore it's missed business. The worst problem for Lilith right now, and it's been like that for a very long time, is that they never even thought through their migration system and really what they wanted to get out of migration within their game. And it was a consistent catch up with the catch up with every loophole abused possible, catch up with every... They created Imperium Kingdoms, and then we found loopholes, and then they stopped double hospital filling in war now, and then people are going to stop logging into the game until the migration happens. Every time there's a loophole because Lilith don't think it through, and it's because they've never really set a real expectation as to what the mechanic of migration was supposed to do. Now, the reality is, this game is catered now to the new players, to those who will get out of the first 3 kingdoms, 3 KVKs, and get into Season of Conquest. Those guys are going to be 2 years behind us, and they have a situation in which they might end up meeting us. Someone who just now finished their KVK Season 3 might end up fighting against someone who has been 7 kingdoms KVKs in and has all the commanders. It can happen. And so Lilith are now working on creating systems that will allow players, the young guard, to catch up with the old guard as quickly as possible. And it's very clear with this. What this Mightiest Governor is essentially the ability to pick one of the 3 past generations of Mightiest Governors. And on top of that, every Mightiest Governor is going to be a different type of commander every single time. So we're going to do cavalry, and then in 2 weeks, infantry. After that, archers, and then leadership, rinse and repeat. What does that mean? It means, number one, only once every, 8 weeks or 2 months, you're going to get to pick to get a commander of a certain type that you want. And number two, it means that the pace in which they're going to be releasing commanders is going to be much slower. Unless they release on every single week a new commander, and then they do 16 weeks worth of the same cycle, they're going to have to figure out a way to make it so that in this week, a cavalry commander comes out, and then in the next cycle, infantry comes out, and so forth and so on, or else it's just going to cause a ton of issues. So it's either going to speed up like crazy the amount of commanders we're going to get, or it's going to slow it down drastically. This can harm your old kingdoms in a perplexing way. Yes, I've been hearing plenty of kings who have told me that's not an issue. We're going to require of everybody to send screenshots of what they picked for Mightiest Governor. Oh, really? Will you? You're actually going to get 155 people to send you every week a picture of what they picked for Mightiest Governor. And what if they picked a commander that you didn't like them to pick and they end up in the top 50? Guess what? They took sculptures away from your kingdom. Imagine someone who is a big whale, and we're not talking a small spender. We're talking a big spender. Clears the shop and everything. Brand new to Rise of Kingdoms. Just finished KVK Season 3. And guess what? He wants to catch up. He doesn't have a Tel Takeda, or he might have a Tel Takeda, but he doesn't have Chandragupta. And in his Season of Conquest now, Chandragupta is actually 2 cycles behind. So what is he going to do? He needs Chandra. He's just going to get Chandra, and that kingdom is going to have someone who took commanders that he specifically needs, but not the kingdom needs. So now how do you balance a kingdom to have the latest and greatest and best commanders, as many of them as you need for a war, for Osiris League, for whatever it is, when anyone can pick whatever they want? The reality is, like it or not, the game is shifting to cater to get the younger, newer players caught up with the older players as quickly as they can once they hit Season of Conquest. Lilith created this barrier. Before Season of Conquest, the game is like we knew it. The fun Rise of Kingdoms. And after Season of Conquest, when you finish KVK Season 3, from there on out, it's an arms race to catch up with the Old Guard. And it's a place for the Old Guard to be slowed down. If you are someone like Chiskel said it best, who spent and got all these commanders already expertise, he's going to tap out once every cycle away from the cavalry commanders because he has them all already. If he has all the infantry as well, 2 out of 4 mightiest governors, he's not going to be able to do anything. And guess what? He most likely has Theodora expertise as well. So guess what? He only needs, really, occasionally, when a latest commander comes out, then yay, we can keep doing that. But that's every 8 weeks. Because guess what? Mightiest Governor happens every 2 weeks, and it's a cycle of 4. So every 2 months, you'll get to play a Mightiest Governor. Now, granted, again, when newer commanders come into this cycle, you're going to reach a point in which you potentially do every 2 weeks the new latest and greatest commander, which means the Old Guard is going to be able to get the latest and greatest commanders much quicker. That is if Lilith released them at a certain pace. But if Lilith keep releasing them the pace they have, essentially, we go from being able to play every Mightiest Governor if we choose to cheapen our expertising of commanders to essentially having to wait for new commanders. This is essentially putting a break on the Old Guard and giving the Young Guard an opportunity to catch up. All of Lilith's latest updates have been like that. They have been catered towards the younger generation of Rise of Kingdoms players that need to caught up with the old generation because there's nothing Lilith can do to stop the old players from coming into the young kingdoms because they just simply don't want to. Instead of doing all this, they could have literally made it so that if you're in Season of Conquest, you cannot migrate backwards anymore. And that's it. And everything is solved. Now, of course, what happens is that once people get into Season of Conquest, they're now stuck and having to fight while they just barely came out of an Intel Takeda wheel. They're fighting already Chandraguptas and whatever else comes out after, Williams and Guan Yu's and all of these, and Heralds and all these things. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is quite simple. We are no longer the target for that Lilith caters to. It's the younger generation of Rise of Kingdoms. It's the new generation of Rise of Kingdoms players. And now the question is, how does the Old Guard react to it? I don't see this as a quitting point, but what I see this is as a slowdown in my spending. I am soon going to reach a point in which I don't need equipment anymore. And quite frankly, I don't see myself going backwards as much as I'm kind of happy that Attila is here and Takeda will be on the wheel because I kind of want to get them because I don't have them yet. But there aren't that many commanders like that. So it will cater me for a little bit and then it won't anymore. And do I really care to get Attila? And will 401 let me get Attila for that matter? Because it doesn't progress the kingdom, it progresses my personal account. It makes things so much worse because 401 had our first Zenobia Mightiest Governor and Osiris League popped up. Now, granted, Zenobia and Mightiest Governor and our Osiris League, not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. If you want to lose your garrison, please use Zenobia in Osiris League. But here's why this is problematic. Zenobia is beaten by Nebuchadnezzar, who is available in all these older kingdoms, all the way to, like, I think 200s. So now, where you have the first match of this Osiris League is going to be a Cavalry Mightiest Governor, which we're going to skip. And then comes the break. And then we have Infantry, which is nice. Maybe Leo back to be able to defeat some Zenobias. Maybe. And then a break. And then in the quarterfinals, qualifier finals, we will finally get Archers. And we will have the ability to get what's his face? Nebuchadnezzar one time. Because then break leadership, break cavalry, break infantry, break archers. But remember, you only get them at the end of the week. So this week is going to be the Archer's Mightiest Governor, but we'll only get the commander at the very end of it. How on earth are they going to create realms in in a competition like Osiris League where there is absolutely no way for those of us in the 400s to catch up. We thought that that's what they wanted. They wanted us to be able to catch up. And what about the guys like 411 who migrated into 4114 to get these latest and greatest commanders to be able to duke it out? Did they get them on time? I hope so, because if they didn't, they're screwed now. Everybody is screwed. Everybody who didn't get these commanders in time is screwed for Osiris League. So I ask you, in the spirit of fair play, how is this fair play? How is this fair play? Participants must adhere to the spirit of fair competition. How? When you're putting us already behind and making sure that we can't catch up. And so I'm going to end this rant here because honestly, there's nothing more that can be said. If you're part of the old guard, remember that you don't necessarily have to quit, because if you're having fun and you have a good built account, there is no reason for you to have to quit. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to progress in commanders, you're going to have to take a quick break while the cycles start going and then new commanders start getting released. And unfortunately, get ready, because more and more of these things are going to come where us, the old guard, are going to be like, what the heck are these updates? While the young generation of Rise of Kingdoms are going to be screaming out of their lungs. Because one day, we are going to go look back at the shop here, and we're going to see that the items that are available to be purchased are much more profitable than they were previously. And that's to allow people to catch up. All of this is coming. Get ready, because this is not the end of what's going to be the wave of updates that are meant to allow younger generation of Rise of Kingdoms to catch up with the old one. I don't believe we're going to see that many new mechanics. I don't believe we're going to be seeing that many new things. We are going to see Strife of 8 and Trojan Horse and all that, which is a nice little way to get us to have something to do. But the reality is, Rise of Kingdoms is a ecosystem, a game that knows exactly what it wants to be and how it is. It loves how it is, and it's an extremely successful game. And if it ain't broke, why fix it? For the younger generation, it was broke, and therefore they fixed it. For us, we've already spent too much, and we complain more than we're worth. I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. I appreciate this interview. Drop a like on this video, subscribe down below, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. We'll talk about this further on Wednesday's stream. For the record, you want to go spend money to get a avatar picture thingy, limited edition portrait and limited edition yada yada. Yeah. I would have hoped that at least for Ninja Garden would get something nice, but a name plaque? A name plaque? Probably if you buy this, there's a $20 bundle that'll also give you like the picture frame thingy, maybe like a decoration at best. What a shame. I'll see you all sooner rather than later. Take care and have a good one. Peace.